Hi, everyone. Welcome to our January at Home chat. I'm Sharon Jaffe, editor-in-chief of Home and Design magazine. I'm so excited to focus today's discussion on my favorite room in the house, the kitchen. Our January issue actually focuses on kitchens, little product plug, and it actually inspired this webinar on the topic today. As we hibernate during month 11 of the pandemic, our kitchens are called into action like never before. It's more than where we cook and share our meals. The kitchen is our classroom, our study hall, our workplace, our cafe, and maybe even our bar, because most of us haven't been to a real one since 2019. Though I'm sorry we can't bring you martinis today, our panelists will share some buzzworthy insights on what is now more than ever at the heart of the home. Not only will we touch upon best practices in kitchen design, but we'll also cover new developments in appliances, some related to COVID that are probably going to be here to stay. And now I'm thrilled to introduce our panelists. As principal of her own Laura Hodges studio, Laura Hodges creates beautiful tailored spaces that incorporate vintage and antique finds, curated art, and natural elements. Laura is also a brand ambassador for the Sustainable Furnishings Council. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Yasin Kazanci is a kitchen designer with the USA Cabinet Store. A previous career in fashion immersed him in colors, finishes, textures, and trends, and informs his aesthetic today. Welcome, Yasin.
Thank you.
Justin Wagner is Director of Sales Operations at AJ Madison. With more than 12 years of experience in the appliance industry, he's an expert on successfully integrating the right appliances into the kitchen, and he's an authority on the latest projects in this ever-changing field. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Sharon. Hi, everybody.
Hi. How's everyone doing today? And are you all making use of your own kitchens during this crazy time where we're all living and working at home?
Yeah, I can't ever seem to have the refrigerator fully stocked. There's
Right.
never enough space, and at the same time, it never seems like I can keep it full.
Exactly. I know our dishwasher is doing like triple duty with 3 meals a day with all of us at home together.
Right.
And I know, Laura, you have kids who are part homeschooling as well.
So, absolutely, yeah. 3 meals a day. But you know, it's good.
Yeah. Do they help with the cooking?
Well, they help with the cleaning, which is great. Yeah.
That's
they're really good. They're really good at that.
Get those habits in early. How about you, Yasin? Have you been doing a lot of cooking?
Actually, kitchen became like a factory now, like 3 shifts and nonstop working. Right. As you said, the dishwasher never stops. Right. And thankfully, there's always a rotation in what's going on there, but it's always dynamic and active.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Well, I would love to have a whole discussion about what everybody's cooking, but that would be another panel. We're here to talk about kitchen design. And I'm excited about our program. We're going to see a few great kitchen designs by Laura and Yasin. And kind of between these courses, we're going to look at some of the latest appliances, and Justin's going to fill us in on a lot of the new technology. We'll also be taking questions, so feel free to ask away in the Zoom box. And the appliances will cover refrigeration, cooking, and cleanup. And here we go. So this is a beautiful project by Laura. Maybe, Laura, you can tell us what your goals were and what you tried to accomplish in this project.
Sure, thank you. So this is a project here in Maryland, and our clients now have 4 boys. At the time, they had 3. And the kitchen was in a new house that they just purchased, but it was from the 1990s, so it was super dark. And when we renovated it, the biggest thing was just to make sure that it was nice and light and airy, but also durable for 3 boys. So we did quartz countertops. We have 2 sinks because, you know, even back then, I mean, this was late 2018, but even back then, they obviously had a very busy kitchen. So we did a lot of great things here to really just make it light and bright and airy. And then we did the open cabinets, and we did upgraded appliances.
It's beautiful. we're seeing a lot of metal accents of all types, brass as well as others. Are you, how do you think that elevates the kitchen? And how are you all integrating metal accents these days?
Well, in this kitchen specifically, this client really loved gold and brass accents. So for this space, it really feels almost like jewelry, if you will, like sort of the finishing touch on a great outfit. And so it just accents everything, brings it all together, makes it feel cohesive. And it's just that finishing touch that makes it feel a little bit special.
Right.
I always feel like there's a level of personalization that happens. We've seen an increase in specifically white appliances with gold accents as well, handles, things like that. That has been a very popular trend over the last year or so.
Mm-hmm. So it's being integrated into the appliances as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I love the look of the white or the glass cabinetry, and you have the decorative glass finish there. Yasin, how do you help clients decide whether they should have some open cabinets like this, or glass fronted or closed, and what do the glass ones bring to the project?
Especially if there is not enough window area in the kitchen to get some daylight, it's a really good idea to bring some glass cabinets and incorporate inside cabinet lighting, and actually make it work as a window to the kitchen, which brings more actually lighting inside and brings more attraction. That really helps. So in those type of cases, we encourage clients to go with more kind of glass doors, especially if they have enough space to store other materials that they have, which they can just use without the concern of keeping that organized. Right. We are encouraging them to use those glass doors, which brings more personality as well, because that's a kind of showcase in the kitchen that they can feature their plates, kitchenware, cookware, so whatever they want. So that actually motivates them to use glass doors as a decorative accent in the kitchen, which brings more dynamism to the space.
Yeah, no, that's great. This is such a beautiful project. Were there any really big challenges, Laura, during the process?
Not really. I guess it was really just a case of, how much are we really going to do? Because the whole kitchen really needed to be gutted, which we basically did. And really the only thing that stayed was that wolf cooktop.
Right, right. Well,
everything else was brand new, so it was good.
That's just beautiful.
Thank you.
So now we're moving into refrigeration, and these are our fridges and freezers are really the workhorses of our kitchens now. And this is a true residential product suite. Justin, maybe you can tell us what makes this unique. And I know you mentioned to me that you're seeing a lot more flexibility in refrigeration.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're kind of highlighting a little bit here, and about color, and color has been something that has been growing in popularity. But like to your point, flexibility, it's really become about design flexibility, about feature flexibility. Innovation in refrigeration has been an ongoing thing. Smart technologies, Wi-Fi enabled refrigerators have been something that has been a continued technology that's growing. But I would say over the last year or so, again, probably because of the situation we're dealing with, people are realizing how important what you get and what you need is it functional technology? Does it make sense on what I'm using it for? Sometimes innovation is for innovation's sake, but some of the flexibility that is happening in refrigerators, whether it's my favorite feature is just it sounds simple, but a lot of the refrigerators are coming with a flex zone now, where if you go to the grocery store and buy a lot of freezer products, this zone can be used maybe traditionally as a refrigerator. You can convert it to a freezer, or if you don't buy a lot of frozen product, you can use that space to be refrigerator, so you can have a smaller freezer space. So it gives you more versatility on how you're actually using, and flexibility how you're using that product. So that's an interesting feature. There's also some interesting water dispenser, and even some features where you can put a pitcher of water inside the refrigerator and it actually auto fills while it's in the refrigerator through the filter. So interesting, fun little, again, usable, flexible features. But really, I think what I wanted to show here was that color and the color inspiration that's happening, not just one singular color. But there are things like we've traditionally seen stainless refrigerators. We've seen, you know, panel ready refrigerators with matching cabinetry that like Laura has done in her kitchens, but also versatility on different types of colors. So you could not just have a colored refrigerator like you see here, but you could have other colored appliances. And what's coming, an interesting new development with one brand, Samsung, a bespoke kind of concept where you can choose up to 8 different colors. If you have 4 panels, let's say, on the refrigerator, you can have all 4 different colors if you want. You could have them all mix and match. You could have them all one color. Again, just creating flexibility in design, flexibility in usage. So I'm finding more and more of this color mixing and matching that's going on. And refrigerators tends to be one of those purchases that dictates how you build your kitchen, right? Or you build it around that, or maybe the range. So that's a very important part of the decision-making process.
Absolutely. Yasin and Laura, do you have any advice or any refrigeration that you've been excited about that you've used or want to try in a project?
Actually, we really enjoy using the fully integrated built-in panel-ready options that really helps us to stand our design out.
Right.
I actually enjoy using it, and that brings a bold look in the kitchen, and usually clients, homeowners love that look. And also, since the colored finishes are out, that also another feature that we can use in the kitchen to personalize the space and bring more kind of dynamism in the space. Right. So those changes in the refrigeration really actually helped us, and I personally enjoy actually utilizing those in this space in the kitchen.
Right, that's great.
One other, I mean, for me, I would just say that it's really, I enjoy seeing more organization inside the refrigerator. So not only what it's looking like on the outside, but how functional is it on the inside. We had to go and actually for ourselves buy a new fridge. Our fridge died on Christmas Eve, so that was fun.
So you've been shopping.
Yeah. And you know, it's amazing how many are not very functional inside. I mean, they're beautiful on the outside, and then you open it and you're like, I can't see anything, it's too dark, or there's no storage, you know. And so the flexibility inside, and then clear drawers, and really good quality drawers and shelves, I think is really great. I'm loving seeing all the new innovations and more functionality and more flexibility inside.
Exactly. And we've been making fewer trips to the grocery store and buying more produce. So you really, it's like a feat of engineering to fit everybody's stuff in there right now.
Exactly.
So here is a beautiful kitchen by Yasin. Tell us what your goals were in this project and what some of the materials are that you used.
So this kitchen used to be a very compact and isolated from the rest of the house before we touched it. And this is an interesting, actually, project. We began to project right before the pandemic fell into our life, and we had to work there during March and April when we had like the pandemic in our lives as a surprise. And customer was expecting a baby, and they had it 8 weeks before the due date. And it was a kind of very unexpected for them as well. So a pandemic fell in, so it was a very different experience. So their goal to open up the space and utilize the kitchen as much as possible. And they used to have a microwave hood, but they wanted to actually cook in the kitchen. They wanted to enjoy having a range there. So our goal is to make the space feasible for like large dinings, and also keeping the air out. So we converted that to a wall hung unit, a hood unit. So we knocked down the walls and unified the kitchen incorporated with the living room area. And so since actually we had some window space, but in order to showcase their chinas, we used some glass cabinets on the wall, and also stack cabinets all along the wall cabinets. And we they wanted to have bright kitchen, so we used white on the perimeter, and they wanted to bring some more kind of beachy look, and we used gray stained finishes on the island. And they wanted to keep their bright look on the countertop, but they're kind of in having the intention of using the kitchen very frequently and in a max level, so they didn't want to deal with maintenance issues. So we avoided using marble and used a very nice looking Calacata looking quartz on the countertop. But there was no concern about using marble in the backsplash, so we used a nice whitish marble with gray veins on the backsplash area.
Yeah.
And again, the hardware was another layer in the kitchen to bring some more personality. It really helped to actually bring more reflective dimensions to our gentle finishes that we had in the kitchen. So we used brass hardware, which also goes with the panel lining that they really liked. So once we finished the project, it was really helping them to live their life in the home because they were working from home. And the kitchen used to be the heart of the home. Now it's the heart of the life, actually, in general. That's what I believe, because it's a place for socialization, not only for cooking or spending time, also gathering with the people, with your loved ones, not only with the people that lives at your home, also with the families that you feel safe and comfortable with. So now they have been using this kitchen since that time, and
that's great. It's beautiful, and it's both the kitchens we've seen have a note of practicality with them, with keeping quartz countertops. Are there surfaces that you're excited about trying, and are your clients really concerned now with antibacterial type materials and things that are easily cleaned and kept almost sterile because of the life we're leading right now? What do you think, Laura?
Well, I mean, we do tend to default to quartz if we know that we have a kitchen that's going to have a lot of use, and if our clients have an expectation that they want it to look as good in a year, 2 years, 5 years as it does on day one. But I fell in love with marble still, and it just is the case of what are your expectations in terms of what you want it to look like, how you want it to feel, the overall sort of personality of the space. So soapstone, marble, and you can get marble from here in America. It doesn't have to be imported. You can get Imperial Danby from the northern part of the US. So it can still be a sustainable choice. And we like Cambria for being more sustainable. It's also made in America. And then more eco-friendly choices. Basically, a lot of the lines now have more eco-friendly composite materials in them. And so I'm excited to see more and more of that, and see more and more of the companies just really making an effort to be sustainable in their practices of how they're actually making it. So we can make the choices more easily and not have to say, well, this one's being, flown all the way over here from India, or this one's coming from somewhere else. So we're looking for those innovations here. And then also in terms of keeping it clean, I mean, I think any of the materials you can make sure that they're going to stay clean. I don't think that that's necessarily something that has changed right now. I do think that people are obviously more aware of it. So and then the materials themselves, just making sure that they're easily cleaned in terms of like the bar stools, making sure that the materials are something that are durable for the clients themselves, and then also easily cleaned, obviously, for guests.
Yasin or Justin, any other comments on surfaces?
And we have obviously seen a little bit of an uptick and making sure that the things that they buy, the refrigerator, the oven, the dishwasher, have surfaces that are easy to wipe. I mean, a lot, fingerprint resistant things that just become very easy to wipe down and don't leave a lot of marks and streaks. So that's definitely been something a little bit, again, more top of mind. Some of those things have already existed, but again, much more being requested by customers these days.
Right.
I can add about the counter spaces. Again, matte finishes are becoming more preference because of since actually countertop is a workspace and matte finishes are less reflective, so it becomes a choice for the homeowners to kind of just use it more kind of comfortably without the concern of having that reflecting the any stain, or like, even though that's not stain, any kind of dirt or mess that they may have.
Right.
But I will just pop in there that sometimes the leathered surfaces, I think, can get a little harder to keep clean. Things can get stuck a little bit more easily in those. So we're careful with using too much of a honed finish.
Right.
Yeah, textured ones, agree.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They're beautiful, but that's
Mhm.
you know, that you have to be
Yeah.
really careful. Yeah. Well, now we're moving into cooking. And until I had a conversation with Justin yesterday, I thought that the only air fryers that existed were countertop, but apparently, Justin,
No,
that's not the case.
yeah, no, a couple of years ago, not that long ago, that's exactly what it was. I think we have a air fryer countertop floating around our house right now. And now you can find, over 50, ranges and wall ovens that have this as a standard feature. It really speaks to how the movement, not just in health, which air fry is part of that, and try to do something versus deep frying. You want something a little bit healthier. And it is dramatically healthier. It could be up to 80%, better from a calories perspective. It reduces fat intake, things like that. But this has been a growing movement as far as cooking versatility. There's been for now several years a movement to combine as many cooking features together as possible within ovens, especially as you want maybe a second oven, and as we see now more than ever, the more we cook, the more we want to try new things, right? And we want to try something in a recipe that requires some technology, or would be easier in a technology that we may not have in a standard oven. So what other ovens can you get? Can you get a combination oven where it combines microwave and regular convection oven? Or do you have a steam oven by itself? Do you have a steam oven with a convection oven as well? So there's all these different versatility functions with ovens, up to and including the Monogram and Cafe 5-in-1, where you can do things like regular convection, conventional proofing, toaster oven, just a whole bunch of different options as it relates to these ovens. And that you see more and more as people cook more, they realize how much more they want to try, and they might need different types of cooking features, and air fry is just an extension of that.
Right. So this is the 5-in-1. So does that mean these are all dedicated to one function, or they can be changed, or how does it work?
Yes. So what it is that the oven itself, I don't know if every single one of those there is the 5-in-1, but one of them definitely is. I believe the one on the far right. That is it can be a convection oven, it could be a conventional oven, it can be a toaster oven, it could be a microwave, and then it could also be a warmer or even a proofer. So you can use it for any one of those functions. So that would be one of the most versatile appliances for sure out there. But again, like I said, there's a lot of people that are looking for setups where they have one main oven that would be their, as you can see here to the left, their main big 30-inch oven. They make their, their big roasts and things like that. And but the secondary oven, maybe the one there on the top, would be something that adds probably a second oven function, and can be truly just a second oven, but it might add a steam function, it might add a microwave function, it might add a variety of different functions that you find more applicable to your lifestyle. So if you're somebody who doesn't microwave, like I don't microwave anything, I always lean towards steam versus microwave technology. But others love microwave and are really good at using it for their cooking. So they would prefer that, especially if you want something to cook faster. So you would add cooking, regular convection, and microwave together, and then you would decrease your cook times. So again, it's all just about what you are trying to accomplish. And that's really what we spend most of our time trying to figure out is, how are you going to use your products? I've got a vegetarian at my house, and she doesn't care if it makes roast in 2 hours. That's not a feature that's relevant for her.
Right.
So we just really got to find out what the features are for our customers and then design the products around that. And a lot of times we're hearing that, well, I also want to do this and I also want to make that. And breads is a very challenging thing to try to make in an oven, and some of these ovens now come with water that will get sprayed into the bread function versus you needing water in there, or you going and opening opening up the door and spraying the loaf of bread. So again, just all designing it around what you are trying to accomplish.
Right. Exactly.
A lot of choices.
Yeah. Yasin, how do you help clients figure out the best stoves and ranges for their needs? Because I mean, aesthetics seems like it's such a small part of it. It's also, so much of it is function.
We first try to understand how frequently they're going to use the cooktop, and also the range, and what type of features they're expecting from a range. Yes, we are not actually selling appliances, but we need to surround the kitchen, the cabinets with those appliances. So basing on their needs and expectations, we guide them through the right way on selecting either a wall oven, double oven, or a single oven as a sliding or a freestanding.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on their expectations, once they make their selection, we try to give the aesthetics and try to make it look as nice as possible. Mm-hmm. And it's a kind of dual process. Their conversation with their consultant from the appliance company like AJ Madison, right, or wherever they work with, and also the effectiveness of what they selected throughout the design concept, mm-hmm, whether that actually fits in or not. And that's our kind of final conversation with the client before we wrap up the kitchen design.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Laura? Do you have some rules of thumb or guidelines when people are shopping, when they're
Well, if for our clients, we really have a very long questionnaire when it comes to kitchen design, bathroom design, similar, but kitchen design really is such a functional space. We ask them, who's cooking, who's baking, how often are you both cooking at the same time, and what type of food they're cooking. All those things really play well into making the right choice. And so, there's the aesthetic function side of it too. Does it fit with the other appliances that you're choosing? How does it fit in with the style of the whole kitchen? But really, it comes down to how you're actually using the oven. So it's just a case of really getting to know our clients and understanding what it is that they're looking for, rather than just shopping for what's unique, what's innovative, what's different, but what are you actually going to use? Because a lot of these things have all these amazing features that nobody will ever use.
Exactly. So. Yeah. Well, this is a kitchen. We actually featured this kitchen a couple of years ago in Home and Design, and it's, I believe, a penthouse in Baltimore that Laura designed, and it has a lot of functionality to it. But maybe you can tell us how the design came about and what your priorities were.
Yeah, so the priority here was to make sure that it was really highly functional for this family and for entertaining as well. They frequently would have catering companies come in, so it needed to be a very flexible space for a lot of people to be able to use, and to also be able to stay out of the way of people who were cooking, right? So that's why we have the big long peninsula coming out, and then the freestanding island, and then you can see the dining rooms in the background. So you're kind of coming in and out of a lot of different entrances, so the traffic flow is really important. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we just had to make sure that it was super functional. This client specifically loves to see everything, so that's why we have all this open shelves on the island and open shelves above the prep sink. And so yeah, it was just a case of keeping it very functional, light and airy. This is a penthouse suite, so they have beautiful views. We didn't want anything to distract from the views. Right. Yeah, that was the main idea here, was to keep it super functional. And we went with navy on the cabinets here. It's sort of a timeless, classic feel, sort of like a pair of blue jeans is sort of how I relate navy. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to use it for a long time. It's not going to feel dated in 3 years. Right. And then we did the frosted glass cabinet fronts, because it's open and light, but you can still put things in there that don't have to be super organized. And it kind of breaks up the mass of the solid front of the doors.
And is this kind of a coffee area or prep area?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It since now has a toaster there.
Well, I love the color on the cabinetry, and we touched a bit upon color before, but for a while there, we were only seeing white and gray kitchens, and we try to put together our kitchen issues and have a nice variety. And now we're so excited because people are finally beginning to use more color in the kitchen, and I know that it's also being integrated in appliances. But Laura, what are your kind of guidelines for people who want color in their kitchen? How do you make sure it's timeless and not too trendy? And are people pushing you for more color, or are you trying to hold them back a little from going too crazy?
Well, I try not to hold people back so much as just explain to them how it might become dated in the future. I mean, tastes change, good design, I don't think changes, but taste can change. And so it's just good to be aware of that. What you think is amazing right now, next year, in 2 years, you might kind of get sick of it. So especially if it's something as all-encompassing as your cabinetry color, because there's a lot of it. So maybe we just paint the island, maybe we bring in colorful bar stools and accents. Not all the cabinetry has to be the same color. We have a white island in this kitchen, for instance. Wood tones can help to break up the masses as well. I mean, and wood itself can be colorful, I mean, you don't have to necessarily use paint color to bring in texture and tone and warmth. Right. So yeah, I just try to educate them as to, why do you want this now? What are you in love with? And can we achieve that sort of cohesive design in another way without necessarily committing to a specific color?
Right, and it might just be a small measure of it instead of too much.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Yasin? What are your thoughts on the colors in the kitchen?
We first try to oversee the color mix in the house, especially in the kitchen floor, and of course, try to take that into consideration and give a balance with our color selection cabinets. Usually, we try to add some movement with the colors, but not try to make it very specific to the time period. Especially neutral colors really help to make it timeless, but at the same time, making it kind of more a living space. So depending on their general layout in the home, we then actually make our color mix in the kitchen. Especially nowadays, wood stains really help to add it as a second color or maybe as a third color. Right. Depending on the actually size of the kitchen, that also actually determines whether we are going with 2 colors or 3 colors. Nowadays, we are utilizing the walls with floating shelves a lot. That's also kind of a potential to bring some more color into the space, either with the wood stain options or colored options. But if you go with a paint color, we usually go with neutral colors to make it more timeless and in order to avoid make it more tiring by the time.
Right. Very good. And now to clean up.
Yeah.
So Justin, what are kind of the latest and greatest dishwasher technologies?
Yeah, I think that there's just been, as we talked about with, being aware of, just keeping everything clean and the movement on keeping everything clean, not just the countertops and the refrigerator doors and the front of the dishwasher, but how do you make sure that if somebody is not feeling great at home and you got to clean up, the dishes and the cups that they're using, things like that, how can you ensure or minimize as much as you can the transfer of those germs from one person to the next? And the dishwasher is a big part of that. Many dishwashers now at least offer a sanitized cycle that will allow for there to be additional temperature and time that happens with the cooking. You have to, for it to be considered by the National Sanitation Foundation to be a sanitized feature, it has to be over 150 degrees, and many of these will go up to 170 degrees. So, but to really properly do that, it's not just about the temperature, it's about the time. So sometimes it does add time to your cycles, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour and a half, depending on what you're trying to clean and how maybe dirty the things are that you're cleaning in there. But I can tell you from personal experience, having a large family, that using the sanitize function both in the dishwasher as well as other appliances in the house, laundry systems come with that as well. It does help to minimize transfer, because it's completely sanitized. You put it on at the end of the day. You let it run let's say hour and a half, 2 hours, and everything coming out of that dishwasher will be 99.9% free of bacteria, and you'll be satisfied with the cleanliness of the product coming out. So it is something that people are asking more and more of. It has been around for a little while, but there's becoming more availability with more brands, and it is being requested more, specifically in dishwashers, but it's also available in other products too.
Well, that's great. Now we have a beautiful kitchen by Yasin that was done in a very small space. And I'm always amazed how designers can kind of intricately fit together items and make a small kitchen functional, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about this project.
Yeah, in this project, as you said, the space was an issue, and there were two things that we tried to accomplish. First, accumulate all the big pieces into one place where it doesn't block anything else, and keep the rest of the space as much open as possible. So as you can see in the picture, we actually accumulated the refrigerator and all ovens in one wall, and we utilize the rest of the wall as pantry space. So we don't have to make a built-in pantry in the kitchen. So the yellow doors that you're seeing are for the laundry space. So therefore we didn't have to have another space for pantry. So the homeowner can actually comfortably use the wall for the pantry space. And that really helped us to keep the walls empty and get as much as possible the daylight from the windows. And we also try to utilize the perimeter with lots of drawers and features in it, which actually enables homeowner actually to utilize the space much more efficiently from a regular empty cabinets.
Right. No, it's beautiful. So Laura, what are your secrets to designing a small kitchen?
Well, I think with any kitchen, but specifically small kitchens, it's not to rush the process, to really get very granular and detailed on what you actually want to do and how you want to use the space. I think that's one of the mistakes that some people can make with designing any kitchen, but specifically with small kitchens, just because you have to be just so thoughtful and really intentional on what you want to put where. With limited space, obviously, there's less room to put anything, but you have to just really think through how you're going to use the kitchen and how you're going to use each space so that everything is exactly where you want it to be, because you're never going to move it. It is where it is. It's not a chair that you can just move from one side of the room to the other. That cabinet is always going to be there. It's always going to serve that purpose. Right. So what's going inside it? What do you have? Like I said before, we go through a whole questionnaire with our clients as to what they want to do in their kitchen, so we can make sure that we're addressing every single thing. And it can get a little detailed, but it's important to do up front, because then it's done, and it's like a well-oiled machine when it's done right.
Exactly. Well, thank you all. You've all brought so much wisdom and insight to our discussion today. This has been really fun. I'm going to see if we have some questions. Are there any popular cabinet storage features?
Actually, I can answer about the pantry pull-out options. Those are really popular nowadays, especially incorporate the built-in pantry area to the kitchen. That feature needs to be actually replaced with something else, and pantry pull-outs really play a big role in that. That's easy to use, functional, and accommodate lots of actually things that you are normally using for built-in pantry. So it's one of the actually most outstanding features in cabinets nowadays.
Yeah, it can help people a lot with avoiding having to pick up heavy things. If there's a food processor and things like that, they can just sort of swing out. It's
Exactly.
really cool. Anyone else? Cabinet storage?
Well, just not only being stuck with a lazy Susan in your
Right.
cabinets.
Right.
There's a feature called the Le Mans, which is like a pull-out basically from a corner cabinet, which we use a lot, and it's just so functional. I love seeing all the new innovations in corner cabinets because it's so many times like not a very well used space.
Yeah, yeah, and you can really get a lot in there. What is it called? A Le Mans?
Le Mans, it's L-E and then M-A-N-S. I believe it's Hafele. Yeah, I think Hafele.
Looks like bean or kidney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does.
So we do have a question that says, will the presentation be available to show my team wonderful projects? And yes, Jacqueline, the presentation, all of our at-home webinars are on Home and Design's website. So you'll be able to find it there probably next week sometime. Richard Lucille says, thank you all, very informative. And here's a question about, Laura wants to know what refrigerator you purchased.
Oh, okay. We actually went with the Bosch. I fell in love with, as I said, the functionality of it. It has clear drawers, it has full pull-out drawers. It had a lot of functionality inside. It's got this like flexible bar at the back where you can put a bottle of wine, and you can, you know, put small things up there so that you can, so they don't get lost. You know, we have 2 young boys, and there's always leftovers. There's always little bits of things like somebody didn't finish their glass of orange juice, or there's just a little bit of something left over. And I love having that little top rack so we can not lose things. And it's great storage, really good storage. And the drawer in the freezer is amazing too. I sound like a commercial right now, but the drawer in the freezer is good because it's really efficient. It's not just like a dumping zone in the freezer. The pull-out drawer can become just like this haven for throwing stuff in there. And so it's got 2 pull-out drawers that are super efficient.
Very good. Let's see, another question. Some people have put questions in the chat. Where can one go to view marble backsplashes with a beige brown grain?
They can come to our showroom.
And someone said, how thick was the marble backsplash shown in the gray quartz and marble backsplash kitchen?
3/8 thickness.
3/8?
3/8 of an inch, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for our questions. So I just want to thank all of you for your time and all of your insights and answers today and expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.